Humans really do that to reproduce? Can I try? Stunning alien girl. The sky above Earth shimmered with colors that no human eyes could normally see. A small, sleek spaceship glided silently through the upper atmosphere, invisible to the naked eye. Inside, Lyra, a stunningly curious alien, sat in her observation seat, her large violet eyes shining with excitement. Her mission was simple but important: study humans, learn about their ways, and report back to her home planet. Lyra had been fascinated by humans for a long time. From her star system, she had observed Earth for decades. Humans were strange yet fascinating creatures. They were fragile in some ways, strong in others, and their curiosity seemed limitless. But one question puzzled Lyra more than any other. How do humans make more humans? She had read about it in her alien data archives, but the information was incomplete, confusing, and sometimes contradictory. As her spaceship descended into a small town on Earth, Lyra's heart raced. She had chosen a place far from cities and big crowds, hoping to observe humans without drawing too much attention. Her landing was smooth, almost like a feather floating down, and the small craft nestled quietly among the trees near a research facility. Lyra stepped out, adjusting her human disguise carefully. She now looked like a tall, graceful young woman with flowing hair and bright eyes that seemed to sparkle. She had practiced human movements, speech, and even their small gestures, but she knew she would still stand out. Humans were unpredictable, and one wrong word or expression could make them suspicious. Nearby, a young human scientist named Ethan was walking back from the facility. He had been working late on a research project about genetics and the behavior of living organisms. Ethan was curious, observant, and friendly, though a bit shy. He liked science more than people, but he also had a kind heart. When he saw Lyra, he stopped in surprise. Hello," he said cautiously. Lyra smiled warmly. "Hello, human," she said, her voice soft but clear. "I am Lyra. I have many questions." Ethan blinked. Her voice was different, musical in a way he had never heard before. "Questions about science?" Lyra nodded eagerly. "Yes, your species, your ways, how you create life. It is fascinating. I want to understand." Ethan chuckled nervously. "Oh, well, I guess I can try to explain some things, but some of it is private." He scratched his head, unsure how to proceed with this unusually polite and strange visitor. Lyra tilted her head curiously. "Private? Why? It is natural, yes. Life continues because of it." Ethan laughed softly, realizing how innocent she sounded. "Well, yes, it's natural, but humans, they have feelings, traditions, rules about these things. It's not just biology." Lyra's eyes widened. "Rules, feelings, traditions. How strange." She tilted her head again, her curiosity shining brighter than ever. "I must see. I must learn. Can you help me?" Ethan hesitated. He had always been fascinated by aliens and other life forms, and here one was, standing in front of him, asking for help. Her enthusiasm was contagious. "Okay, but we'll keep it safe. You won't be involved directly. I can show you scientifically through observation, experiments, and study." Lyra's smile stretched wider. "Yes, observation, experiments, learning. Thank you, human." Over the next few hours, Ethan led Lyra into his laboratory. It was small but full of microscopes, glass containers, charts of DNA sequences, and models of cells and organisms. Lyra's eyes glimmered as she took in every detail. She leaned over a microscope to look at a sample of human cells. "These are humans?" she asked, pointing to the tiny, moving shapes on the slide. "Yes," Ethan said, "these are human cells." Every human starts from a single cell and it grows and divides, eventually forming a whole body. Lyra watched in fascination as the cells moved and divided. "Incredible, one becomes many becomes life." Her voice was filled with awe. "It is beautiful." Ethan nodded, smiling. "It is, and it's just the start. Human reproduction is more than cells. It's about growth, care, and sometimes emotion." Lyra tilted her head. "Emotion? Explain." Ethan thought for a moment. "Well, humans care for their young. They feed them, protect them, teach them, love them. That is part of why humans survive and thrive." Lyra's eyes sparkled. "Love, protection, teaching, important for survival. Not only biology, also heart." She scribbled notes in her glowing alien pad. "I must study carefully. I must understand fully." As the night grew darker outside, Lyra and Ethan continued their discussions. She asked hundreds of questions, sometimes silly, sometimes profound. She wanted to know why humans kissed, hugged, or laughed. She wanted to know how families formed and how they cared for children. Ethan answered with patience and humor, careful to avoid anything inappropriate. At one point, Lyra's curiosity got the better of her. Do humans choose partners because compatibility or other reasons? She asked innocently. Ethan chuckled, realizing she was trying to understand relationships, not anything personal. Well, sometimes it's compatibility, sometimes it's friendship, sometimes love. It's complicated. Lyra tilted her head, her long hair cascading over her shoulder. Complicated but fascinating. Humans unpredictable, yet amazing. She paused, her violet eyes glowing softly. I want to observe more real life, not only cells and books. Ethan hesitated. He knew bringing her into the real world could be risky. But he also felt a strange trust in Lyra. Okay, we can do that, but we will observe safely, no interference, just learning. Lyra nodded eagerly. Agreed, learning, observation, understanding. The next morning, Lyra followed Ethan outside. Birds chirped and the sun shone on the small town. Humans moved about their daily routines. Some walked dogs, some tended gardens, and some children played in parks. Lyra watched with wonder. They cooperate, work together, play together, she whispered. So complex, yet harmonious, Ethan smiled. Yes, humans survive not just because of strength, but because of cooperation, care, and sometimes curiosity. Lyra tilted her head, absorbing every detail. Curiosity, yes, curiosity leads to learning, discovery, growth. Life continues because curiosity, Ethan nodded. Exactly. Without curiosity, humans wouldn't have explored space, created medicine, or studied life itself. Lyra's eyes glimmered with excitement. Then I understand now. My mission to learn, to understand, to appreciate must continue. Humans worthy of study, worthy of admiration. Over the next days, Ethan introduced Lyra to more aspects of human life. They observed how humans raised animals, how plants reproduced, and even how human families celebrated small milestones. Lyra was fascinated by every detail. She asked endless questions, sometimes making Ethan laugh with her innocent misunderstandings. One afternoon, as they observed a pair of swans caring for their eggs, Lyra turned to Ethan, her eyes wide. Humans like swans care, protect, nurture, love. I must understand this. This is what makes humans special. Ethan smiled, realizing that Lyra's fascination was deepening beyond just biology. She was beginning to understand humans in a holistic way. Their intelligence, their emotion, their culture, and their ability to work together for survival. That night, Lyra returned to her spaceship, her mind buzzing with discoveries. She recorded her observations carefully. Humans, cells, emotion, care, love, cooperation, survival, curiosity, all connected. Humans remarkable, must continue study. As she drifted into sleep, Lyra felt a strange warmth in her heart. She had not expected to feel anything like this. Humans were strange creatures, but their curiosity, ingenuity, and care made them extraordinary. She realized that her mission was only beginning. The real learning would come from observing humans in their natural environment, understanding their families, their communities, and how they ensured life continued safely and joyfully. Lyra's eyes closed, but her mind stayed awake with anticipation. Tomorrow she would follow humans more closely. She would ask more questions. She would witness life in action. And she knew, deep down, that humans were unlike any other species she had studied in the galaxy. They were clever, resilient, and endlessly fascinating. The first part of Lyra's adventure had ended, but the journey to understand humans, their biology, their emotions, and their remarkable ability to create and nurture life, was only just beginning. The next morning, Lyra woke early in her small spaceship cabin, her violet eyes glowing with excitement. She could barely wait to continue her study of humans. Last night's observations had filled her mind with questions, and she was eager to see how humans lived outside laboratories and research notes. Ethan arrived at the spaceship's landing site just as the sun's golden rays touched the town. He carried a backpack filled with observation tools, binoculars, notebooks, small cameras, and field guides. He was amused by Lyra's enthusiasm. Ready for another day of learning? He asked, adjusting his glasses. Lyra nodded eagerly. Yes, today observe humans, their families, their animals, their life, everything, Ethan laughed. All right, but we have to be careful. We're observers, not participants. Just watch, take notes, and learn. Lyra's smile widened. Agreed, observe, learn, understand, perfect. They started their journey in a small park at the edge of town. Children ran and played on swings and slides, their laughter echoing across the green fields. Lyra watched closely, tilting her head as she tried to understand the small human's behavior. "Why do they run like this?" she asked. Ethan chuckled. "It's play. Humans play to have fun, but also to learn skills, coordination, strength, teamwork." Lyra's eyes sparkled. "Ah, play, learning, practice, survival, efficient." She quickly began noting every action the children made, even the way they smiled when they helped each other. Next, they observed a mother feeding her baby in a stroller. Lyra's eyes widened. "Care, protection, love, all in one," she whispered. "Humans truly remarkable." Ethan nodded. "Yes, humans spend a lot of time raising their young. They teach, protect, and guide them." Lyra's mind raced with questions. Teach, guide, protect. How do humans know what is best? Ethan smiled. Experience, observation, trial and error, and love helps too. Lyra jotted down notes rapidly. Love, care, guidance, human survival linked to emotion, fascinating. After the park, they moved to a small farm nearby. Ethan wanted Lyra to see how humans helped animals reproduce and raise their young. Chickens, cows, and sheep moved in their pens while humans fed and cared for them. Lyra's violet eyes glimmered with excitement. Animals, humans, care, nurture, survival, cooperation, amazing. Ethan explained, humans don't just care for other humans, they care for animals, plants, even entire ecosystems. That's why our species has lasted so long. Lyra watched as a farmer guided a young calf to its mother. The calf struggled at first, but soon found its mother's udder and drank eagerly. The mother licked the calf gently, showing care and protection. Patterns similar to humans, Lyra murmured. Teaching, guiding, nurturing, universal principle, life continues through care. Ethan nodded. Exactly. Life requires attention and effort. Humans learned that long ago. Later, they visited a nearby forest to observe plant life. Lyra was amazed by flowers, trees, and vines reproducing through seeds, pollen, and sunlight. She leaned down to examine tiny seedlings pushing through the soil. Even plants, life continues, fragile yet strong, humans and plants, cooperation in nature, Lyra whispered, fascinated by the complex web of life. Ethan smiled. Humans depend on plants for survival, just like plants benefit from humans in some ways. It's all connected. Lyra scribbled notes furiously, her glowing pad illuminating her excited face. Life, growth, protection, cooperation. Humans, unique combination of intelligence and emotion, remarkable. As the day progressed, Lyra's questions became more detailed. She asked about human families, friendships, and even rules in communities. Why do humans live in groups? Why not alone? She asked as they walked through a small village. Ethan thought. Humans survive better together. We protect each other, share resources, teach one another, and companionship makes life happier. Lyra tilted her head thoughtfully. Companionship, protection, sharing, intelligence, heart, humans designed for survival, combination of mind and emotion, clever. Later, they observed a festival in the village square. Children danced, families shared food, and music filled the air. Lyra watched the humans' laughter and joy with fascination. Celebration, human emotion, cooperation, culture, strengthens survival, Lyra whispered. Not only biology, also heart, mind, creativity, humans, extraordinary. Ethan noticed how carefully she watched, trying to understand every nuance. You see, Lyra, humans don't just survive biologically. They build societies, celebrate traditions, and teach their young. That's part of what makes us strong. Lyra nodded, taking careful notes. Observe, learn, understand. Humans, unique. Combination of biology, emotion, intelligence, creativity, powerful. As the sun began to set, they returned to the small spaceship. Lyra's excitement had not diminished. She was already thinking about tomorrow's observations, planning new ways to understand humans better. Ethan sat with her, looking at the notes she had taken. You've learned a lot today, but there's still so much more. Observation is just the first step. Understanding humans fully takes time, Lyra smiled. Yes, time, patience, curiosity, all necessary. I will learn all. Humans, amazing, must understand, appreciate fully. That night, Lyra recorded her thoughts in her spaceship journal. Humans, fragile yet strong. They nurture their young, guide them, protect them, and teach them. Play and work, emotions and intelligence, all connected. Humans are not only clever, they care. Survival is not only biological, it is social, emotional, cultural. Life continues because of cooperation, care, and love. I must study more, observe more. understand more. Lyra drifted into sleep, her mind buzzing with images of human families, animals, plants, and communities. She dreamed of children running in parks, farmers tending their animals, flowers blooming under the sun. She saw humans laughing, teaching, sharing, and celebrating life in ways no book or data archive could fully explain. The next morning, she was ready for the next stage of her observations. Ethan had promised she would see even more aspects of human life, how humans help one another in times of need, how families grow and change, and how communities support life itself. Lyra could hardly wait. She had started her journey with simple curiosity about human reproduction, but she realized that understanding humans required observing their emotions, culture, intelligence, and cooperation. Life was not just cells and biology. It was a complex, beautiful system of care, learning, and love. Lyra looked out at the sunrise, her violet eyes reflecting the light. Humans, so much to learn, so much to understand, must continue, observe, appreciate fully. Tomorrow, more learning, more understanding, humans, extraordinary. As the spaceship prepared for another day of exploration, Lyra felt a growing respect for the species she had come to study. They were not perfect, but their cleverness, curiosity, and capacity for care made them truly remarkable. The first part of her learning had been filled with wonder, but part two was already shaping up to be a deeper dive into the lives of humans. She knew that the more she observed, the more she would realize just how unique this species was in the galaxy. Lyra's adventure was only beginning, and with every moment of observation, every question asked, and every answer received, she was becoming more certain. Humans were extraordinary, not just for their biology, but for their hearts, their intelligence, and their spirit. The morning. Sun spilled golden light across the small town. Birds sang, and a gentle breeze rustled the trees. Lyra stepped out of her spaceship, her violet eyes glowing with excitement. Today was going to be special. Today, she would move beyond mere observation. She wanted to understand humans in ways she could not achieve by watching alone. "Ethan," she said eagerly as he arrived with his backpack, "today, experiment. Learn safely, deeper understanding humans. Ready?" Ethan laughed, shaking his head. "All right, Lyra. But remember, safe experiments only. No interference with real people or real life. You'll use simulations and models." Lyra nodded, her excitement palpable. "Simulations, yes, models, perfect. Teach me, human friend." They returned to Ethan's laboratory, which was bright with morning light and full of scientific equipment. Ethan had prepared a variety of simulation tools: holographic models of humans, digital representations of cells, and interactive programs that could simulate human growth, families, and social interactions. Lyra's eyes sparkled. "So not real humans, but clothes, very clever human technology, amazing," Ethan smiled. "Exactly. You can see how humans grow, how families form, and how they interact, all without risking anything." Lyra leaned over the holographic table. Tiny glowing figures appeared, representing humans at different stages of life, from newborns to adults. Ethan explained each stage carefully. "See," Ethan said, pointing to the holograms, "these are newborns. Humans start small, helpless, but with care they grow strong. Families nurture them, teach them, and they learn to survive." Lyra's eyes widened in amazement. "Helpless, grow strong, guided by care, protection, teaching, remarkable. Life continues, intelligence, emotion, cooperation, all together." She scribbled notes quickly. Ethan continued, "Now observe social interaction. Humans live in communities. They share resources, teach one another, and help each other. This is part of survival." Lyra watched carefully as the holographic humans gathered in small groups, exchanged tools, helped one another, and played games that taught skills. She tilted her head. Play, practice, learning, skill development, cooperation, emotional bonding. Humans' brilliant combination of mind and heart. Hours passed as Lyra experimented with different simulations. She adjusted variables, family sizes, resources, environmental challenges. Each simulation revealed how humans adapted and survived. She was fascinated. At one point, she created a scenario with a small family struggling in a harsh environment. The holographic father tried to gather food while the mother cared for the children. The family faced challenges, but through teamwork and care, they survived. Lyra's violet eyes glimmered. Even in difficulty, humans cooperate, protect, adapt, learn, survive, intelligence plus care, extraordinary. Ethan watched her fascination with a smile. Yes. That's the key. Humans survive not just because of strength, but because of thought, emotion, and cooperation. Lyra then decided to test her own understanding. She created a simulation where human knowledge was missing. The holographic humans tried to survive without teaching or guidance. Chaos ensued. Without teaching, without care, without sharing, survival, impossible, cooperation, essential, humans clever, but must use intelligence with heart, Lyra whispered, deeply impressed by her own experiment. After the simulations, Lyra wanted to see how humans nurtured the next generation emotionally. Ethan guided her to a holographic program that simulated human childhood in various environments. Families with love, families with conflict, and communities that help children grow. Lyra observed carefully. In loving families, children grew confident, curious, and strong. In difficult or neglectful environments, they struggled but still adapted using creativity and intelligence. Emotion guidance, culture, environment critical for growth. Not only biology, humans, genius combination, life continues through care and wisdom, Lyra noted excitedly. Ethan added, you see, Lyra, humans are not perfect. But their ability to learn, adapt, and care for one another makes them special. That's why they thrive despite challenges. Lyra's eyes glowed with wonder. Special, unique, intelligence plus emotion, care plus creativity, humans truly remarkable. She paused, looking at Ethan. I understand now. Human life, more than just biology, it is living, thinking, feeling, cooperating, amazing combination of all factors, survival, growth, life continues, humans exceptional. Suddenly, Lyra had an idea. Ethan, we must test, combination, teaching, play, care, all factors together in a single simulation, observe results. Ethan nodded. Okay, let's do it. It will be complex, but we can see how everything works together. They set up a large holographic environment, a small town with humans, animals, and plants. Each element had rules based on biology, care, teaching, and cooperation. They activated the simulation. Lyra watched as holographic humans helped each other build homes, shared food, taught skills to children, and protected animals. Problems arose like storms and scarcity of resources, but the humans worked together. They celebrated successes, comforted each other in failures, and learned from mistakes. Lyra gasped softly. Incredible, humans even simulated, adapt, learn, survive, cooperation plus care, intelligence plus emotion. Life continues beautifully, humans extraordinary. Ethan laughed. Yes, that's why humans are special. Your simulations show it perfectly. Even challenges strengthen them. Lyra carefully recorded everything in her pad. She realized that observing alone was not enough. To truly understand humans, she had to experiment, simulate, and analyze every aspect of their life. She was learning patterns of growth, survival, and cooperation that no alien database had ever recorded. Then, something funny happened. Lyra tried a small experiment on her own, without consulting Ethan. She programmed a scenario where a holographic child forgot how to eat. The holographic parents panicked and tried unusual methods to teach the child. Soon, the simulation spiraled into chaos. Holographic humans bumped into each other, animals ran around in confusion, and virtual food flew everywhere. Lyra laughed, her melodic voice echoing in the lab. Oops, experiment, too realistic, chaotic still. Teaches lesson, humans must teach carefully, patience, guidance, cooperation, essential. Ethan chuckled. Looks like you learned something important. Even in simulations, humans need careful guidance, patience, and teamwork. Lyra nodded, still giggling. Yes, lesson learned, humor included, humans clever, adaptable, intelligent, caring, altogether extraordinary combination. After the small chaos, they spent the rest of the day refining simulations. Lyra created scenarios where families helped children learn new skills, communities worked together to solve problems, and nature interacted with humans in realistic ways. Each simulation showed the delicate balance humans maintained between biology, emotion, and intelligence. Lyra was fascinated. Every factor connected cooperation, guidance, teaching, emotion, intelligence, culture, humans, masterpiece of survival, extraordinary. Ethan smiled at her enthusiasm. You're learning fast, Lyra. Most species don't even think about these connections. Humans do it naturally. Lyra's eyes glimmered with admiration. Naturally, yes, but also learned, practiced, improved. Humans, combination of mind, heart, and society, must share knowledge. observe carefully, study fully, appreciate completely. As the evening approached, Lyra reflected on her day. She had started with curiosity about human reproduction, but she had learned so much more. Humans were not just creatures of biology, they were intelligent, emotional, and cooperative. Their ability to teach, play, care, and survive as a community made them extraordinary. She recorded her thoughts carefully in her journal. Today, deeper learning, simulation, experiment, observe human life. See patterns, cooperation, teaching, play, care, survival, all connected humans, extraordinary combination of biology, intelligence, emotion, adapt. Survive, thrive, appreciate, truly remarkable, must continue. Learn more. Lyra looked at the sunset through the lab window, her violet eyes reflecting the orange and pink sky. Tomorrow, she would take her learning further. She wanted to observe humans in even more complex situations, how they handled challenges, how communities solved problems, and how they celebrated life together. Her excitement was endless. She realized that humans' greatest strength was not just survival, but their ability to combine intelligence, care, creativity, and cooperation in ways no other species in the galaxy could. Lyra closed her journal and smiled. Humans, so much to learn, so much to understand. Combination of mind and heart, intelligence plus emotion, extraordinary species. Journey continues, more discoveries await. With that thought, Lyra prepared for the next day, eager to deepen her understanding and admiration of humans. Her mission was no longer just observation, it was appreciation. Humans were clever, compassionate, and endlessly fascinating. She knew that every day she spent on Earth would reveal more secrets about their extraordinary way of life. The sun rose slowly over the small town, bathing it in warm, golden light. Birds sang in the trees, and a gentle breeze carried the scent of flowers and fresh earth. Lyra stepped out of her spaceship, her violet eyes gleaming with excitement. Today, she would see humans not just in nature or experiments, but in their daily lives, their homes, and their communities. Ethan, today, more learning, deeper understanding, humans in life, culture, family, traditions. Ready? Lyra asked, her voice filled with energy. Ethan smiled. Absolutely, Lyra. Today you'll see humans in their communities at home and at work. You'll observe how they care for each other and celebrate life. Lyra's eyes sparkled. Yes, observe, understand, learn fully, humans extraordinary. They first visited a small human home at the edge of town. Ethan had asked the family in advance, explaining that Lyra was a researcher studying human behavior. The family, friendly and curious, welcomed them warmly. Lyra observed quietly as the family went about their morning routine. The parents prepared breakfast while children ate and chatted. Each action seemed to have a purpose. The parents guided the children gently, teaching them small lessons about manners, hygiene, and responsibility. Care, guidance, teaching, subtle yet important, humans extraordinary, Lyra whispered to Ethan. Yes, Ethan said. Humans teach their young by example and instruction. It's part of how culture and knowledge continue across generations. Lyra watched the children help each other set the table and noticed how the parents praised cooperation and effort rather than just the result. Praise, encouragement, humans motivate each other, emotional intelligence, survival, strengthened, remarkable. Next, they visited a nearby school. Lyra had never seen such a place before. Rows of children sat at desks, listening to a teacher explaining concepts about nature and science. Lyra's curiosity was endless as she observed how knowledge was shared, how questions were asked, and how students helped one another understand. Teaching, sharing knowledge, human learning, interactive, cooperative, strengthens society, ensures survival, extraordinary combination, Lyra said, jotting notes in her glowing pad. Ethan added, humans don't just teach for survival. They teach for creativity, for critical thinking, for understanding the world. That's what makes them special. Lyra nodded, her eyes wide with wonder. Special, humans learn, share, grow together, emotional, social, intelligent combination, unique in galaxy. After school, they walked to the town square where a small festival was taking place. Colorful banners fluttered in the breeze, children ran in games, and music filled the air. Humans were laughing, talking, and sharing food. Lyra was fascinated. Humans celebrate emotion, social bonding, joy, strengthens connections, supports community, survival, not only biological, emotional, cultural, clever humans, she whispered, her violet eyes glowing. Ethan smiled. Celebrations reinforce social bonds. Humans live better when they feel connected and supported. That's why festivals and traditions are important. Lyra observed families helping each other set up booths, share food, and teach games to children. She noticed the laughter, encouragement, and teamwork in every action. Observe, understand, humans' clever combination of intelligence, care, creativity, culture strengthens survival, remarkable. Next, Ethan invited Lyra to visit a local family with a newborn child. Lyra's excitement was palpable. She had seen human babies in simulations and through observation in the park, but now she could see real infants up close. The mother cradled the baby gently, humming softly. The father assisted carefully, feeding and cleaning. Every action was thoughtful and careful. Lyra observed the subtle interactions, how the parents communicated without words, how they anticipated the baby's needs, and how the baby responded to love and attention. Care, protection, emotional connection, intelligence, instinct, humans' extraordinary combination, survival, thrives through love and attention, Lyra whispered. The baby cooed, smiled, and responded to gentle touches. Lyra's notes filled quickly. Humans ensure growth, nurture young, emotional intelligence strengthens survival, remarkable, learn fully, appreciate fully, Ethan explained. It's not just biology. The parents teach, comfort, and guide. They encourage curiosity, patience, and empathy. That's why humans survive and thrive in all kinds of environments. Lyra nodded, her eyes reflecting awe. Yes, intelligence plus emotion, guidance plus care, humans, genius combination, must study more, appreciate more, extraordinary species. Later, they visited a small park where children were playing team games. Lyra noticed how children learned rules, teamwork, patience, and problem-solving through play. She observed how older children guided younger ones, how encouragement was given, and how cooperation allowed everyone to succeed. Play, learning, cooperation, guidance, care, emotional intelligence, humans, combined mind and heart, ensures survival extraordinary, must continue observation, study fully, Lyra said to Ethan. Ethan nodded. Humans teach not only with words but with actions, games, and interactions. That's why they adapt and thrive. As the day progressed, Lyra and Ethan visited more families and communities. Lyra observed humans helping neighbors, preparing communal meals, teaching crafts, sharing resources, and celebrating milestones like birthdays and achievements. Every detail fascinated her. Humans, culture, tradition, cooperation, emotional intelligence, shared knowledge, strengthened survival, combination, biology, mind, heart, unique, extraordinary, Lyra noted repeatedly. Ethan noticed Lyra's admiration and smiled. You're beginning to understand what makes humans special. They survive not only because of biology, but because of cooperation, care, intelligence, and emotion. Lyra tilted her head thoughtfully. Yes, survival, not only physical, also emotional, social, cultural. Humans, clever, extraordinary species, must report accurately, must observe completely, must learn fully. As evening approached, Lyra recorded her findings in her glowing pad. She reflected on everything she had seen. Families nurturing young, children learning through play, communities cooperating to solve problems, humans celebrating life, sharing joy, and supporting one another. Her journal filled quickly. Humans beyond biology, emotional intelligence, cultural traditions, cooperation, care, teaching, learning, play, survival, growth, extraordinary combination of mind and heart, must continue observation, must study fully. Humans, unique, remarkable, clever, inspiring. Lyra paused to watch the sun set over the town, her violet eyes reflecting the warm orange and pink sky. She realized that humans were more than she had imagined. They were clever, resilient, emotional, and creative. They combined intelligence with care, play with teaching, and observation with emotion. She turned to Ethan. Tomorrow, more learning, perhaps, humans in crisis, humans solving problems, observe how intelligence and cooperation meet challenge, survive, adapt, remarkable, must study fully. Ethan smiled. That's a good idea. Observing humans in challenges will show how they truly combine intelligence, emotion, and cooperation. Lyra nodded, her eyes gleaming. Yes, observation, learning, understanding, appreciation, humans, extraordinary, journey continues, more discoveries await. That night, as Lyra prepared for rest, she reflected on the day's observations. She realized that her mission had grown. She had started by observing human biology, but she was learning that humans were extraordinary not only in reproduction, but in every aspect of life. Their intelligence, care, and emotional depth were unlike anything she had seen in the galaxy. She smiled softly as she drifted to sleep, her violet eyes slowly closing. Tomorrow would bring new adventures, new lessons, and new insights. She knew that every day on Earth would reveal more about humans, cleverness, resilience, and heart. Lyra's admiration had grown into something deeper, a profound respect for humans and the complex, beautiful ways they lived, learned, and survived. She knew that her journey was far from over, and she could hardly wait to see what the next day would bring. The morning sun rose gently over the small town, casting long, golden shadows across the streets and fields. Lyra stood outside her spaceship, her violet eyes reflecting the light, filled with a mixture of excitement and nostalgia. Today was the last day of her mission on Earth. She had learned so much, seen so much, and experienced the depth of human life in ways she could never have imagined. Ethan approached with his usual calm smile. "Ready for one last day of observation?" he asked. Lyra's face lit up. "Yes, last day, but important. Must understand, fully appreciate humans, extraordinary species. Final learning, observation, reflection." Ethan nodded. "We'll make it meaningful. Let's visit some families, communities, and perhaps witness humans solving problems together." Lyra followed eagerly. She had spent days observing humans in nature, in school, in festivals, and in their homes. She had seen how they nurtured, taught, played, and celebrated. But today, she wanted to see how humans handled challenges, how they worked together, and how they celebrated life despite difficulties. Their first stop was a small farm at the edge of town. A storm had damaged part of the barn the night before, and the family was working to repair it. Lyra watched carefully as humans came together to help. Neighbors brought tools, shared materials, and worked side by side with the family to fix the barn. Children helped in small ways, carrying lightweight items and learning by observing the adults. Cooperation, intelligence, problem-solving, teaching, participation, survival, extraordinary, humans clever, use mind and heart, work together, remarkable species, Lyra whispered, jotting notes in her glowing pad. Ethan nodded. Humans don't just solve problems individually. They rely on community, teamwork, and sharing knowledge. That's why they survive so well in all kinds of environments. Lyra observed the humans carefully. Each person had a role, and each person cared for others. They encouraged, praised, and corrected mistakes gently. Even the smallest contributions mattered, and everyone's effort was appreciated. Even in challenge, humans cooperate, teach, care, adapt, solve, survive, combination of mind, emotion, and culture extraordinary, Lyra murmured. Next, they visited the town school, where a science fair was taking place. Students had prepared projects demonstrating principles of physics, biology, and engineering. Lyra observed the teachers guiding students, encouraging creativity, and helping them solve problems. Creativity, guidance, teaching, encouragement, humans, combine intelligence with care, knowledge shared, society strengthened, survival enhanced. Remarkable, Lyra noted. She watched as students helped one another troubleshoot problems, sharing ideas and solutions. Older students guided younger ones, demonstrating patience and leadership. Parents and teachers cheered, providing encouragement and emotional support. Ethan smiled at Lyra's fascination. Humans thrive because they help each other learn, grow, and improve. Education isn't just about information, it's about building society and preparing the next generation. Lyra nodded slowly. Yes, learning, cooperation, emotional intelligence, guidance, preparation for survival, humans, extraordinary combination. Must record fully, understand completely, appreciate deeply. After the school, they walked to the town square, where a small festival had been organized to celebrate the completion of a community project, a new playground for children. Lyra observed families, children, and neighbors working together, celebrating their achievements. Music, laughter, and joy filled the air. Humans celebrate achievements, cooperation, recognition, emotional bonds, strengthens society, strengthens survival, combination, intelligence plus emotion, remarkable, Lyra whispered. Ethan added, humans use celebration not only to have fun, but to reinforce social bonds. It helps communities remain strong, united, and resilient. Lyra watched as children ran on the new playground, parents cheered, and neighbors shared food and stories. She noticed how everyone contributed in different ways. showing their unique talents while working toward a common goal. Diversity, cooperation, recognition, guidance, joy. Humans adapt, survive, thrive, clever, extraordinary combination of mind, heart, and society, remarkable species, she noted in her pad. As evening approached, Lyra and Ethan returned to her spaceship. The sky was painted with shades of orange, pink, and purple. Lyra stood at the edge of the landing platform, gazing at the town below. Her heart felt full. She had learned so much in such a short time, and she realized how extraordinary humans truly were. Ethan, she said softly, humans, not only biology, not only reproduction, also care, teaching, creativity, cooperation, emotional intelligence, cultural traditions, altogether humans, extraordinary, unique in galaxy, must report accurately, must appreciate fully humans. Truly remarkable species. Ethan smiled. You've learned a lot, Lyra, and you've observed more than most researchers could ever hope to see. Humans are clever, compassionate, and adaptable. That's what makes them special. Lyra nodded, her violet eyes glowing in the fading sunlight. Yes, special, extraordinary, must continue study, observe fully, understand deeply, humans, inspiration, life continues. Intelligence plus care, heart plus mind, humans, clever, resilient, remarkable. Before departure, Lyra decided to leave a small gift for the town. A holographic display that would project short educational messages about science, cooperation, and creativity for children. She wanted to give back in the only way she could, sharing knowledge and encouraging learning and curiosity. The townspeople were amazed by the holographic display, though they did not know exactly who had created it. Lyra watched from a distance, smiling quietly. Humans appreciated kindness, curiosity, and knowledge, and she felt a deep connection with their spirit. Finally, the moment of departure arrived. Lyra stood beside her spaceship, ready to leave Earth. Ethan joined her, and they shared a moment of quiet reflection. You've learned so much, Ethan said, and I think humans will never forget you, though they may not even know you visited. Lyra smiled, her voice soft and melodic. I learned humans extraordinary, clever, compassionate, adaptable, emotional intelligence, creativity, cooperation, life continues. Humans, remarkable inspiration, must report fully, must appreciate completely. Humans, genius combination of mind, heart, society, truly. Remarkable species. Ethan chuckled. You really understand humans now, and you'll carry that knowledge back to your planet. Lyra nodded, her eyes reflecting the stars beginning to appear in the twilight sky. She activated her spaceship and the engines hummed softly. The landing platform lifted off the ground, and she felt the familiar thrill of flight. As the spaceship rose into the atmosphere, Lyra looked down at Earth. She saw parks, homes, schools, and communities, the living, breathing proof of human intelligence, care, and cooperation. She reflected on everything she had observed. Families nurturing young, children learning through play, communities solving problems together, festivals and celebrations, and humans helping one another in challenges. Humans were clever, creative, and resilient. They combined intelligence with care, biology with emotion, and tradition with innovation. They survived because they taught, guided, and supported one another. Lyra realized that her mission had been more than scientific, it had been a journey of admiration and understanding. She recorded her final journal entry before leaving Earth orbit. Humans, beyond biology, beyond reproduction, extraordinary combination of intelligence, emotion, care, creativity, cooperation, survive, adapt, thrive, teach, guide, celebrate, support. Culture strengthens survival, humans, unique, remarkable inspiration, must report fully. Must appreciate completely. Humans, genius combination of mind, heart, and society, truly extraordinary species. As the spaceship entered the vast expanse of space, Lyra felt a sense of satisfaction and pride. She had learned everything she had hoped to understand and more. Humans were unlike any other species in the galaxy. They were fragile yet resilient, clever yet compassionate, individual yet cooperative. A soft, melodic message appeared on her spaceship console. It was a simple note she had composed to Ethan. Humans really do that? Amazing. Can't wait to visit again. Gratitude, admiration, respect. Extraordinary species. Lyra smiled as she sent the message, knowing that Earth had left a permanent mark on her heart. She would carry the lessons, the stories, and the examples of humans back to her planet, sharing the wonders of a species that combined intelligence, emotion, and cooperation in ways that were truly extraordinary. As the spaceship glided through the stars, Lyra looked ahead at the galaxies she had yet to explore. But she knew that Earth, and its humans, would always remain one of the most remarkable discoveries she had ever made. She had observed, learned, and appreciated, and in doing so she had gained not only knowledge but respect, admiration, and inspiration. Lyra's adventure on Earth had ended, but the story of humans, of their intelligence, care, and ingenuity, would live on in her reports, her memories, and her heart forever. And as the spaceship disappeared into the depths of space, a soft thought echoed in Lyra's mind. Humans extraordinary, clever, compassionate, inspiring, truly remarkable.